Hello, everybody. How you all doing? I hope you're all doing well and that you've been having a great week so far. I'm Wizzy, and if you're new to my corner of the internet, a warm welcome to Isabella Banks YouTube channel. Here, we dive headfirst into the latest happenings revolving around Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan. So, make yourself at home and let's get into the conversation. A heartfelt thank you to all of you for your contributions in the comment section. A special shout out to Diana Flanders, who commented on my last video. In the comment section, you said, I think King Charles thought that when Princess Diana died, the British people would forget her. That didn't happen. He also thought people would hate Meghan and Harry, but we still love Prince Harry and Meghan. He needs to stop taking advice from whoever is giving him advice. I've been saying that for the longest, and it's so shocking to know that the palace advisors are so incompetent. A special shout out to Cookies and Cream. A comment from an OG Sussex supporter is always welcome on my channel. Thank you very much. As we all know, now that Byline Times is done with the Dan Wooten catfishing allegations, the Byline Times have just dropped the first in their three-part special into Dan Wooten's dealings with the royal household. First of all, before we go into the story, Byline Times have taken the leap and have decided that they want to become print media. They've also launched their online subscription and print newspapers, which is fantastic. Accordingly, they have been doing the very most. You see this poster or whatever this is called, it's right in front of the building where News UK anyway, and all the brands that come under UK is located. Sort of like they were letting them know that there is a new sheriff in town. I love it. It's so audacious. Anyway, let's support them by either buying their article, which starts from £3.60, which I think is about $5 for the online copy of the paper. I will leave the link to their subscription page in the description link of this video. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead to do so. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. It's lovely to have you back. Please go ahead to hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload my next video. Now, let's dive in. So I'm just going to go through the highlights of the first of the Byline Times articles. And the highlights are something to behold. Honestly, I wouldn't have done this video now if I didn't know that there were so many people waiting to hear what was actually in the article and perhaps provide an avenue where we could all discuss it. So the highlights of the article details points that we know about, and a lot of the points that they have detailed are things that we suspected but weren't sure. And someone like me, I was hoping that they weren't actually true. One of the first points was that King Charles withdrew his 700k pound funding deal from Harry and Meghan. That was the first point for me. He actually withdrew their funding. I know Harry said it in the book, but somehow it didn't register as starkly as when I am now seeing it in the Byline Times article. So he withdrew his funding from Harry and Meghan because Harry and Meghan refused to remove the name of a top royal aide named Christian Jones from a letter before action to Wooten's former employer, The Sun, in May 2020. Now, Jones has denied any wrongdoing or leaking confidential information about the royal household, and indeed, the matters alleged in the letter before action about him appear to have been dropped. However, the sudden defunding of the Sussexes in late June 2020 led to the collapse of the Sandringham Agreement. The defunding of the Sussexes came 3 months 3 months, just 3 months. So it was actually the royal family who reneged on the deal. They took away Harry and Meghan's funding 3 months into the trial period, and this led the Sussexes to take a decision to take on private commercial arrangements to pay for the estimated £3 million a year cost of 24-hour security for their family. Byline Time goes on to allege that the royal family's decision to remove the Sussex funding was to protect the royal household from a courtroom scandal with Jones and Wooten at the very center of it all. And it makes sense because Dan Wooten's audacious reporting style could only have carried on if he was certain beyond doubt that he had some backing somewhere, which would allow him to literally do whatever he wanted and get away with it. The article goes on to say that the royal family wanted to use the threat of the removal of the funding and security to force the Sussexes back to the UK under the same conditions. The royal family acknowledge that Harry and Meghan make better headlines and could dominate the headlines to the extent that they eclipse the royal family. And the idea that they would be out of the control of the royal family and dominating the headlines whilst in public service was unacceptable to them. They never thought that the 12-month trial period would work and tried everything that they could to make it fail, starting with the removal of security and signing off on a 12-month assault by the press on Harry and Meghan and everyone in their orbit. We have actually seen that play out. Every time the Sussexes try to do something, they actually have people who have taken it upon themselves like it's a job to make sure that they go on to their projects, to talk them down, to ruin their relationships with potential partners and existing partners. As part of a 3-year investigation into Dan Wooten, Byline Times spoke to royal households about how the partner of Christian Jones came to be paid £4,000 by Rupert Murdoch's The Sun in August 2019, allegedly for articles relating to the Sussexes. Christine Jones's partner, the publicist, claims that these payments were for stories about a reality TV star with a similar name to the Duchess of Sussex. So Jones has always denied being the source of any unauthorized information about the Sussexes getting into the press, including details of a written summary that Prince Harry had given Prince Charles in December 2019 of his plans to move his family into North America. However, Prince Harry had mentioned in Spare that the information reported by Dan Wooten included a telling detail which no one else knew about except his father. And that detail was that they had offered to relinquish their titles. That Dan Wooten man is very sick because it's the same Dan Wooten who has gone on his channel when he was with GB News to claim that the successes were clinging onto their titles with a death grip because they wanted to commercialize their status and position their titles. Whereas he knew that Harry and Meghan had offered to give up these same titles. The man deserves to be thrown away. So, Dan Wooten's story on the Sussexes' decision to step down from their position as working members of the royal family was published in the papers the same day the Sussexes were planning their own announcement, prompting a constitutional crisis and wrongly alleging that the Sussexes had blindsided the Queen, even though the Queen knew about their plans to step down from working as senior members of the royal family. The Byline Times goes on to say that they have two well placed sources who have confirmed that King Charles's private secretary, Sir Clive Aldert, and the Lord Chamberlain, Lord Peel, a close friend of Prince Charles, strongly urged Prince Harry to have Jones's names stripped from the record. This came after an internal inquiry conducted by Simon Case, then the private secretary of the Duke of Cambridge, William, and a close friend of Jones, who concluded that having heard him deny the allegations that he had leaked confidential information, there was no case to answer. Another source with links to the royal household told Byline Times that the Christian Jones problem promised to drag the hidden dealings between the palaces and the press into the public domain. This exposure of the dealings between the palace and the press was deemed undesirable. According to the palace, Harry and Meghan were expendable, but their heirs and their wives were not. I laugh in shock. That is so cold. So cold. Despite all the resistance Harry was getting, he was very keen to get to the bottom of the situation. He wanted to know how his information kept being spun into negative headlines. In order to stave Harry off, the royal family decided to bring things under control by removing Harry's funding, thinking that that would make him stop. But it didn't work. The primary objective of the royal households in their relationship with the media is to protect the monarchy. They rely on the press to deal with any problems which threaten the public perception of the monarchy, who are desperate to stay relevant. This is achieved through specific messaging, which is delivered through press outlets like the Mail on Sunday, the Sun, less so now the Times and the Sunday Times. I wonder what happened to that relationship. The naming of Christian Jones threatened to shine a light on the entire unethical relationship between the institution and the press barons, and that could not be tolerated and had to be punished. Before Dan Wooten switched to the royal beat, he was a showbiz editor. He started taking an interest in royal stories in 2018. Shortly after Dan Wooten started to express an interest in the royal stories, Wooten published an article in The Sun about a falling out between Prince William and Kate on the Marquis and the Marquess of Cholmondeley. After that article, Dan Wooten's obsessive coverage of William switched to Harry. There are three other articles within this first part of this series which I'll be delivering on a daily basis until it's done. For now, that's a wrap. Stay tuned for the next update. Until next time, stay focused, keep shining, and keep thriving. Take care and bye.